Ready, set.
We will welcome to the podium head coach Dave Doeren along with his 3 student athletes. Folks, we'll spend about 15 minutes with Coach Doeren as we wrap things up here in the Grand Ballroom of the Westin in Uptown Charlotte. We'll have 15 minutes with Coach, then 5 minutes with each of our student athletes. As we have done previously, we will get to as many questions as we can. We will continue to ask for your courtesy to identify yourselves and the agency that you are with. We will knock out as many questions as we can, and Coach, I believe we'll start in the first row to your left, and we will hustle a microphone down his way.
Coach, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Doing well. Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Looking at college football today and the fact that coaches change every few seasons, you've had over a decade at NC State. Just what you could say about that tenure, your belief in the program's continuing to buy into you, and just what that relationship has been like in a world that we don't see that consistency a lot.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a blessing to be at a school this long. Really, in my life, I've never lived anywhere for this long, even as a child, moving around. So to be able to say as a coach that all 3 of my sons didn't have to move through their childhood years and their schooling, I think that's a huge win in the parenting box. From a stability standpoint, NC State has definitely supported me and Sarah and the kids. I love the leadership. Chancellor Woodson has been huge in this for me, and now Boo Corrigan. I came to NC State for the same reason that I'm still there. I think it's a great fit. It's a bunch of blue-collar, tough, hard-working people that enjoy good food, good music. The state of North Carolina, fishing, mountains, beach, lakes. I mean, you can't beat it. It's really just a tremendous place to live. And so, thankful to be here, and honestly hope that they let me finish here. That's my goal is to retire here one day, the winningest coach in school history, and be able to kind of go to the parking lot and tailgate myself, and have some fun. Maybe not have as much stress, get a little bit more vacation every now and then. But it's a fun group too, and the guys that I've been able to coach and the coaches I've been able to work with, make it the ride that's what it's about. It's that journey you have.
Coach, follow the aisle right up the middle and then to the right on the edge.
Hey, Dave. Mike Barber from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Good to see you. You mentioned that fit and culture. I'm curious, Robert and how has he fit in? How has that relationship gone? And how has his work on the field progressed? Yeah,
it's great having Coach and I have several staff members that worked with Robert at other stops before I hired him that could really give me some good insight into what this relationship would be like for me with Ruffin McNeil and him going back to Texas Tech and UNLV. Tony Gibson, my D coordinator, and he were together at Arizona. Brian Mitchell and he were together at BYU. So I had some insight, into what kind of person. I coached against Coach and I 4 different times and knew the kind of play caller that he was and what his guys were like to play against. And so it's been a great match. He's very unique. For those of you that have interviewed him, you know where I'm coming from with that. He's definitely a different personality in a good way. He is a fun personality, but he is a tough ball coach. He expects guys to do things a certain way. He's demanding. And his creativity, I'm not saying it's unmatched, but it's in the top 10% in college football. He does a lot with the different things he can do in the offense for the players.
Coach, left side is going to be about the 7th row. Gentlemen, please raise your hand so he can see you. Thank you.
Noah T, technician. What does your defensive coordinator, Tony Gibson, do to make him a consistently quality defensive coordinator for y'all?
His system is unique. Not a lot of people run the 3-3-5. He understands the ins and outs of it really, really well. He knows how people are going to attack him. He knows, what the answers are before they happen. So if they do this, I'm going to do this. He has that for everything. He has a good progression, not just of teaching, but of when to add things in and when it's time to change things up. He's a great chemistry guy, not just with players, but with staff. I like that he's tough on the guys. He demands a lot, but he's also a guy that loves on his players. Yeah, he's really, really been a great hire for us, and he's done a tremendous job, and so have the coaches that are with him. And I know Peyton and Aiden will speak to this. That chemistry of that side of the ball is, and not that it's not on the other, but Tony deserves a lot of credit for that. When he was promoted 4 years ago, I guess it was, to defensive coordinator, he changed a lot of things, and those things have paid off for us.
Coach, to your right on the fourth row, we've got two gentlemen side by side. They'll ask your next two questions.
Kenton Gibbs with Locked On ACC. Coach, they say that the team takes on the attitude and temperament of the head coach, and we've seen that over the years with you and this team being very tough, hard-nosed, all that good stuff. And it seems like this team is on the cusp, year after year after year, right there. Yeah. What needs to change with this team or with you or in general to kind of break through that ceiling and get your first ACC championship?
I'd love to see it, and it's great to see you, Kent, as a former player of mine. We finished second in the league a couple times record-wise, second in the league for league wins 3 years now combined, and I think it's third over the 10 years that I've been here for league wins. So we've had a lot of success. How do you get over the top? It's a great question. I say this to the team, it's one more play sometimes, or one more player sometimes, or one more play call. It's a very little thing that takes place. Sometimes you got to have some luck too. Staying healthy is a big thing in college football. If you look at the teams that make it to the end, that's a factor. And so there's a lot of pieces in it, and I've been fortunate to win championships at several of the schools I've been at. Those things come together, at the right time, and you just make some clutch key plays. Sometimes it's just a routine play at the right time. And once you do it one time, it's amazing. The repetition of it's not as hard as the first time doing it, in my opinion, because of the belief that goes with it.
Keep your focus right there, Coach. The gentleman right next to him.
Grayson Boone, Locked On Wolfpack. Coach, you bring in an experienced OC in Robert and I. You bring in an experienced O-line coach, Coach Tujay, and you bring in an experienced quarterback to pilot this thing in Brennan. Can you speak on where you feel the ceiling is for this new look offense in 2023?
Well, I think the ceiling's being the best in the league. That's our goal. We can't control the stats and all the things outside of the ACC. We got to try to win the ACC. And our goal is always going to be the best statistically in the areas that we consider important. And so I know Coach Anai has his pillars on offense that he preaches to these guys that they're going to be working hard to attain. And it's no different on defense. We want to finish in the top 1, 2, or 3 in every category that we care about. And there's certain tenets of the program, when it comes to taking care of the football on offense and taking the ball back on defense that is paramount for us. The penalties, it's an area that hurt us a few years ago, not beating ourselves with things we can control. So there's a lot of things you look at. But I don't think, at this phase of the season, you can ever say this is what we're going to be. Like, you have to go earn it. You got to get on the grass and go play and get in these games and see who's better.
Coach, to your left, second row, almost towards the wall.
Corey Smith with 24/7 Sports,
Hey, Corey.
Pack Pride. Dave, obviously last year the dynamic was completely different. Do you feel like your teams perform better when there's not as heightened of expectations, when you are seen as the underdog going into the season?
I've been asked that a lot. I think we performed really well last year considering 4 quarterbacks had to play. There's never been a team in the history of college football win 8 games with 4 quarterbacks. So, when you sat in this meeting a year ago, we would all said 8 wins was not what we were hoping for. But I know I was quoted last year saying this. You guys are asking me to predict 12 games with the lineup that I have for game 1. And that's not reality. The team changes a lot when you lose a quarterback, another quarterback, another quarterback. And so the fact that our complementary football played into it, the defense was number 1 in the league in scoring defense, the special teams were number 1 in the league. Our offense did not turn the football over and kept us in games. And so that's how we won. And I look at last year as a huge success with the difficulties we faced. Would have loved to have not had those challenges and been in the championship game and all that, but that's not the reality of sports. You have to compete with what you have to compete with. And felt like this staff did that. and we're going to do it again. And hopefully, we will have obstacles, we will have adversity, we'll have things happen we didn't want. I just hope that they're not in the injury category when we're facing them.
Coach, we're going to go to right side, sixth row, almost to the right, far right.
Hi, Coach. Damian Sordelet with the Roanoke Times. There's plenty of game film on what Brennan Armstrong can do in Robert Anane's offense, but what has he done in terms of ingraining himself within the locker room, within the offense that you've seen through the spring and the summer, and how good of a teammate he is?
I think it's probably a question to ask these players when they come up here. From my standpoint, I like how he just came in, put his head down, and went to work. And it proved himself in his competitive spirit. Going back to the winter runs, he put him in a competition, and he's winning every rep. And you see how he cheers on his teammates when they win things. And his excitement level for that, how hard he competed in spring ball, and you'd see him coaching guys, and just the way he goes about his business. Is where the respect for me is. But as far as how he's with them, I think that's probably better for them to answer.
Coach, we're going to sneak in one more. Young lady to the right. We're going to get to her question, please. About halfway back.
Hi, Coach. Ashlyn Dotson from Spectacular Magazine. So, being in Raleigh, which is one of the fastest growing cities right now, does that help with the recruiting process at all and bringing players that help best fit your team?
For some it does. I think the internships that are available due to the growth and the fact that it's still growing and Apple bringing all this stuff to the Triangle, it definitely helps for the guys that care about that. And I also think it being the capital, the different things that are already there industry-wise, and now that NIL is what it is, there's opportunity in that, to have more corporations, more businesses for these guys to potentially be contacted by through the collective. So, it's crazy being there now, going on 11 years and seeing the growth of our city every year. And the highways are a mess. They can't keep up with the growth and the number of new schools and, new restaurants, new this, new that. It's an awesome place to live right now. And so for the guys that get there and realize it, I don't think they know how good they have it. Trust me, being a coach that's lived all over the country, been in big towns, farm towns, you name it, Raleigh's got it going right now. It's an awesome place to live and work.
Coach, actually, your last question from the podium, given your passion for NC State, we always like to get the soundbite. The Wolfpack have won 16 of their last 17 at Carter Finley. Talk about the fan base.
Yeah, Wolfpack Nation, we've already sold more tickets. This was 2 weeks ago. They told me there was only 2,000 seats left for the entire season, completely combined. And so the most tickets they've ever sold in school history for football, the most revenue generated from that as well. Last year they added these lights that turn on and off and go red and all this, which was pretty cool for the players and the fans. Now we have the largest jumbotron in the league with the new sound system, which is going to add even more to the game day environment, which I know will fire our fans up. So we love the Wolfpack fan base and continue to ask them just to be in the stands for 4 quarters and try to make life hell on the opponents.
Coach, thank you. If you'll switch places with your quarterback, Brennan, if you'll step up. Folks, we've got 5 minutes with Brennan. I know there are going to be a lot of questions. We'll try to get to as many as we can. Brennan, welcome.